the biggest things that kept me in my marriage to my abusive ex-husband so long were a couple things that I want to go over with you guys. And I'm sharing these things because I know there's a woman out there or a member of the LGBTQ community who also dates men out there who you're in an abusive relationship and you're thinking these same things and it's stopping you from making a safe plan to leave. Number one, for me at the time, religious reasons was a key factor in that. Hearing people share stories of how God changed their partner miraculously, and now their partner is loving and amazing because they chose to stand in prayer and believe the power would work. Now, listen, I'm not going to knock your religion or whatever you believe, but I do want to say this. If you believe in any religion that is telling you to keep getting abused, keep getting used, keep getting cheated on, you're in the wrong religion, okay? I don't care what God you believe in, universe, whatever entity you believe in. If they're telling you to continue getting hurt, that entity does not care about you. You need to figure something else out. And if the people who also believe in that same religion or whatever are telling you to remain in that toxic situation that will eventually harm you because it will stress you out, it will ruin your health, your mental health. Anyway, I'm going off on a tangent. If people are telling you to stay in that toxic situation, they do not have your best interest at heart. They are delusional, okay? And I'm not going to say they don't love you, because maybe they do love you, but they're just so intertwined in this religion and their mind is so warped, they're so brainwashed that they can't seem to think any other way. If you are hell-bent on praying for this man, make a safe plan to get out of that situation. And pray for them from a distance. But y'all cannot be together anymore. And especially if you have kids, if you're not going to care about yourself, care about your kids. Because your kids can't pack a bag and start a new life somewhere else. Not legally, not safely. They're leaning on you to protect and advocate for them. And I'm just going to be blunt. I know so many kids who grew up and no longer speak to their moms because they stayed in abusive situations. Now listen, I get it. There's a statistic that your partner is more likely to harm you if you leave. I know the fear of the unknown. I know that this economy is horrible, but when I was with my abusive ex-husband, with my 2 kids, I made up my mind I would rather live in a fucking box than to stay with this man another day or to have my kids be subject to his abuse. The next reason that I stayed in that abusive marriage for 5 years is because of this stigma that we have around divorce being this horrible, bad, embarrassing thing. How could you tear the family apart? It's your job as a woman to keep your family together. A bad marriage is a sign of a failure. I think, let's reframe this for a second. It's okay for a marriage or relationship to not work. A lot of you guys got married for the wrong reasons in the first damn place. Societal pressure, religious pressure, moral pressure. You're the last person in your friend group and you wanted to hurry up and get married and he's the first person to pay attention to you. Maybe you have a toxic home life and you married this man because you figured it was your way out. Your biological clock is ticking and you wanted to rush and have kids and settle down. You didn't think anybody else would want you. You thought you were getting older. You got married for money. Whatever the reason was, a lot of people got married for the wrong reason in the first damn place. Let's normalize divorce just being a part of life. It is what it is. I just realized I still got my seatbelt on and I'm parked. Let me take it off. Sometimes divorce is the best thing that can happen to you. The way I see it, if you filed for divorce, it's a good thing. You needed that shit. I think you failed if you stay in a relationship knowing that relationship has been dead a long time ago, knowing that you're getting cheated on, used, abused, exploited, y'all are arguing all the time, it's just not working, you're not getting along, that's a failure. Wasting your life that you will never get back, wasting your time that you can never recover, that is a failure. Not recognizing that there's a problem, addressing the problem, taking whatever action steps to try to fix it if it can be fixed, because abusers, you can't work with them. And then realizing, okay, this ain't working. I gotta cut this shit short so that I can be free. That is success. Recognizing when something just ain't working. It's okay. And as far as this dream of a two-parent household, what's better? Your kids growing up in a household where y'all are arguing and bickering, or watching you get abused and used and hurt and learning that boundaries don't mean shit? Or you being by yourself and having some kind of peace? Them seeing you set a boundary, I'm not going to allow someone to treat me this way. I would rather my kids see that, and my kids have seen that. And my kids are good at saying no and setting boundaries and communicating because of it. The other thing that kept me in an abusive marriage for so long is this idea of not wanting to be single. I didn't want to be single. The media, society, people, everything has painted being single as this horrible, miserable, awful thing, because you got to be in a relationship, you got to be married, and if you're not married, you failed. Nobody wants you. If a fairy godmother would have gone back to my younger self and said, hey, you're going to be single when you're 40, I would have had a nervous breakdown. I wouldn't have been able to handle it, because my mind was so warped that I had to be coupled up with somebody, that the thought of me being single would have completely horrified me. Statistics don't lie. Single mothers do less work than married mothers. Okay? The happiest demographic on earth is actually single, child-free women. Married women live shorter lives and are less happy. And I'm sure there's an exception to the rule. You don't have to comment and tell me that you're married and you're happy, blase, blase. There's always going to be an exception to the rule. But in general, these statistics are the truth and is what's happening. I would rather be by myself than settle for a relationship where I'm getting hurt all the time, where I'm arguing and I'm bickering and I'm beating a dead horse and we're just going back and forth and we're constantly going at it. No! Your life is so much more than just being wanted by someone else. Your life is so much more than just being in a relationship with someone else. Your life is so much more than dating and marriage and settling down and having a family. And I hear so many single people talk about how they're sick of everybody telling them to just focus on themselves. I would have a relationship by now with how much I focus on myself. You're doing it with the wrong motives. The point of focusing on yourself isn't doing it so that you can get a man, so that you can get a relationship, so that you can get married. Even after you get those things, if you get those things, you still need to be focusing on yourself and taking care of yourself and prioritizing yourself. Another reason I stayed in an abusive relationship so long is I was afraid of making money on my own. I didn't know how I was going to support my kids. But like I said earlier, I got to a point where I would rather have struggled and lived in a box with my kids than remain in that marriage another day. And I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and tell you that my life was easy. I've gotten my fair share of eviction notices. I've had to be on benefits and beg and borrow from people. I've had to hustle and work 2 jobs. There were nights when I cried and I didn't know how my bills were paid. There were times when things got shut off. It was hard. It was scary. It was not fun. It was not fun. I'm not going to lie to you and make it seem like it was fun and it was okay and it was this motivational, inspirational, beautiful thing. It was not. It was terrifying for me. But I would rather have done that than stay in that marriage with that man. So if you're going to comment and tell me all the reasons why you can't leave, you're right. You're right. I agree with you. Because let me tell you one thing. As somebody who's lived this and knows this from personal experience, when you're done, there is no can't. There is no I don't know who to ask. I don't know where to look. I don't know where to go. You will move hell and earth. You will Google. You will ask questions. You will figure it out when you are finally done. But until that point, you're always going to find ways to stay. And you're going to continue to get hurt.